Sherry, you're on mute and I cannot hear you.
It's time to start, Kevin.
Hold on.
Hope everybody's doing good.
So we have had Leon that's got some issues out there. I don't have a quorum yet. So we're having some Zoom issues if you joined us.
You have a quorum. You got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Where do you count 4?
You, me, Treasurer Bud, Sherry Frazier. That's 4.
You, me. Oh, I guess it is.
He didn't learn to count.
I guess are you coming in? There you go. Give me 1 second because I do not want to start this meeting if Leon's close. Hang on.
Oh, man. Never a dull moment.
Never.
Everybody have a nice Labor Day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did labor on Labor Day, just saying.
So did I, Labor Day.
Labor is good for you girls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Because I suspect we have a technical problem that I want to solve first.
You want to wait?
Well, Don's not on and Kevin's not on, and I've not been told that they're going to miss this meeting, so I'm suspecting that we have a Zoom issue right now. I can do this, though. I could go to announcements right now since I have 3 or 4.
Sounds
Open
good.
the meeting first, Kevin.
Pardon me?
Open the meeting first.
Yeah.
You're going to have people to open and they can come in.
Okay. Meeting is called to order at 6:03. Okay. Please stay seated for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Your 4th grade teacher wouldn't like that, Kevin.
I don't know why I mess it up all the time too.
Or try kindergarten.
Yeah, kindergarten.
I know. Anyway, we're gonna skip right to announcements and get some announcements out of the way while we wait to see if we can get the treasurer, or excuse me, the clerk on, and Don and Kevin Martin. We're pulling them right now. First of all, I get letters. I get more comments on Denton Road Bridge and the fact that we mow that, and people just love it. They can see the lake. It just makes the whole area look so much better than
All those weeds.
Yeah. So I have one here from Betty Bird that sent to me last week. Thank you again for yours and the township's part in restoring our view of the beautiful lake. Every trip across the bridge is pleasant again. Besides the view, it is much safer for those who walk, run, and bike in our area. I was thrilled to see the landscapers working along Denton and doing such a thorough job. Belleville Lake is a valuable asset to our area, and we should always strive to showcase it. Of course we do. I also want to bring up the fact that this month is September, and September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, 47,500 Americans commit suicide each year. One way that we can help lower this is to talk about it, have open conversations about mental health and about emotional struggles. We need to reduce the stigma. We all went to a thing a couple of years ago on reducing the stigma of mental health. You shouldn't be embarrassed by it. You shouldn't hide it. We should, seek to help them. Okay, and so it's mental health awareness. It's National Suicide Prevention Month. If you are one of the unlucky ones that had your house flooded, remember that Wayne County does have flood assistance grants out there. Residents of Wayne County are eligible for funding to cover damages and costs by flooding and basement backups. Please contact Wayne Flood Relief, and they will go on the website, and you should be able to get into there. Okay, you see we have Mr. Boynton probably coming in. All right, Mr. Wright. We're just in the announcement section. We've skipped the roll call. So we'll finish the announcements up and come back to the roll call.
Hello.
Aye.
Hello.
Hi.
I have my wife's wonderful background, and I'm going to leave it just like it is.
All right. She's got good taste.
Yes, she does. I like that.
Tell you what, okay, okay, at this current juncture in the meeting, we have brought the meeting to order. We've done a pledge of allegiance and we've done most of the announcements. I would like to return by welcome everyone. We are being broadcast live over YouTube and Van Buren Television Channel 12. Clerk Wright, would you please call the roll? Kevin Martin is excused.
Okay. Trustee Boyne,
Here.
trustee Frazier,
Here.
trustee Miller,
Here,
trustee Bud.
Here.
Leon, the clerk is here in Van Buren Township. Supervisor McNair,
Here.
we have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. The consent agenda today consists of board meeting minutes, the prepaid list, the voucher list, basically paying our month-to-month bills. There's also MDOT performance resolution, which is really us basically agreeing to certain rules and procedures when we're working in the state's right-of-ways along the roads. We used to have to do that once a year. New business will include discussion of a master service agreement for an independent real estate advisory services with Plant Moran Cressa. This is a major deal that's going to outline a lot of what we do in the future. So we need to talk about this. And we're also going to be doing discussion on the first reading of an ordinance. The ordinance will help, we hope, will help combat addiction in our area. Suicide prevention and addiction is the awareness month that we're in September. And finally, we're going to be doing the once a year discussion on fee totals within our own building. We also, at the announcement stage, will be visited by our state representative, Ranjit Puri. Ranjit will be talking during the announcements and he'll give us a legislative update. Moving on. I need a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Mr. Boyd.
Support.
Thank you, Ms. Frazier. Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 I don't
Have
need
to do a roll call. I'm sorry. I do a roll call.
agenda. Okay.
All right, trustee Miller,
We tried to slide that in there.
I tried.
trustee Miller,
Sorry. Go ahead.
Can't hear you, Reggie. There you go.
trustee Boyne,
here in Van Buren Township.
Trustee Boyden, yes, in Van Buren Township.
Jerry Frazier,
Here. Yes. In beautiful Van Buren Township.
trustee Bud.
Yes.
Yes for me. Supervisor,
Yes,
motion passes.
thank you.
So do we have to say VBT, Van Buren Township? Yes,
Just
no,
the,
That's
No,
only-
just the first time
That's only for the roll.
the first time what?
when you do the roll call.
We should turn the roll call, but.
Okay, all right.
So we're now going to the consent agenda, and in the consent agenda, I need it to be the revised consent agenda, removing line item number 6. Can I get a motion for the consent agenda and somebody to read it out? I don't know who that is today.
Supervisor, I'll make the motion for the adoption of the consent agenda. 1, board meeting minutes of August 17th, 2021. 2, prepaid list of August 19th, 2021. 3, prepaid list of August 26th, 2021. 4, prepaid list of September 2nd, 2021. 5, voucher list of September 7th, 2021. We're skipping 6, going to 7, approval of the resolution 2021-25 MDOT performance resolution for governmental agencies.
Support.
Okay, got a motion, I've got support. Hearing no discussion on consent agendas, we're going to move to Clerk Wright. Call the roll, please.
Okay, trustee Miller,
Yes,
trustee Frazier,
Yes.
trustee Boyden,
Yes.
treasury Bud,
Yes.
Yes for me. Clerk Wright, Supervisor McNamara,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. We have no public hearing today, so we'll move right into the announcements. We already had a few announcements, among others, this being Suicide Prevention Month, Health Awareness Month, mental health. There is one important thing that we've got coming up this Saturday. We'll never forget those that lost their lives in 9/11 20 years ago. It'll be our 20th anniversary for this. And we definitely don't want to forget the fallen. And so we here in Van Buren Township, working with Belleville, Kent Township, Detroit Metro Airport, Huron Valley Ambulance, Huron Clinton Metro Parks, the City of Romulus, Sumter Township, and of course Van Buren Township, we'll be having a bell ringing vigil at Grace Lake. At 10:37, there'll be 4 5-minute speeches between 10:37 and I think at 10:30. And they'll match the times when the plane struck the towers, when the towers came down. And a bell will be rung, and that's how fire services pronounces the dead. We will, of course, afterwards, we'll all get together and we'll talk about it. There will be a car show at 11 o'clock. There will be some food trucks out there. It's not hard to find Grace Lake. Grace Lake is the large office complex between Tyler and Ecorse Road, just east of 275. And if you can't find it, look for the 40-foot long flag hanging off our $2 million or $1 million fire truck.
What time does that start again, Kevin?
It starts at 9:37 would be the first bell. So that's when the first plane struck. 9:37. I want to thank John Delaney, who did an amazing job with this. He got a lot of people together. He got a lot of waste management design line. Tim Hortons, Wayne County Community College, Grace Lake, Myers, T-Rex Arms, Atchison Ford, Stacks Pizza, and Culver's have all pitched in to make this happen. So pretty good job he did. Great job.
Thank you, John.
Yes, thank you. Good job.
Does any of the board have any announcements they'd like to make?
No, I don't.
So we have, do we have State Representative Ron G. Puria? Are you out there? There he is.
There he is.
Representative, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. So incredibly happy to be here with Van Buren Township today. Look at that background for Trustee Boynton there. I mean, that's which places with him. I think you got the right idea. But it's
His wife is good.
Very good.
oh, I can tell.
Very good.
Come design my background. But I just wanted to wish everyone a happy Labor Day. I know Trustee Miller had a unfortunately very busy Labor Day, as did I. Lots of stuff around the house, but thankful to the labor movements out there for all of their social accomplishments and allow us to have some time off. So hope everyone was able to spend some time and put it to good use. It's also back to school season. And so I know schools have started either last week in Van Buren Township, and then other districts they started today, but hope things are off to a great start locally. This year is obviously going to be different. So just hoping that everyone watching can remain a little patient, as we're all going to be doing collectively what we can to make sure our kids and our schools are safe and healthy here. But with schools starting, that means summer is unfortunately coming to an end. And it has not been the easiest of summers. One, it went by, I think, entirely too fast. I feel like that's one thing that we say every year, but this year I can't believe it's already Labor Day. That's just how it goes, I guess. But second of all, the weather has not been the best. We've had a lot of once in a generation type storms. Feels like they were happening like every other week at one point here. So, I've been in constant communication with Supervisor McNamara. Just want to applaud him for everything that he's doing. He's always I was telling him the other day, that whenever one of these storms happen, it's the worst because in the morning, kind of wake up and assess damage and make phone calls. But it's been great knowing that when I wake up in the morning, he's already on top of things. And so just thank you to everyone for kind of being so great through these difficult times with the storms. So hopefully we can kind of continue to get through this and find solutions. But for those that were affected, I know the county has a number of programs out there. And so, feel free to reach out to my office. I'll make sure to put that in the chat function so everyone has my contact information. And we can love to point you in directions of how we can help. Also, with schools starting, again, this year's been a little bit different. It's going to be tricky. I know there's been a lot of conversations revolving masks and those type of things. Wayne County Health Department has issued a mask mandate for Wayne County. So all schools in Wayne County are mandated to wear masks. And so no one really knows kind of what the next few weeks and months are going to look like. And so, again, I just urge everyone to be patient and fluid. I think we can all agree that we want to do what's best for our kids, keep them safe and healthy. And so, let's all just kind of work together to make sure that we can put the politics aside and, again, kind of prioritize the health and safety of our students and teachers here locally. And so just with a little bit more in Lansing, we are on our in-district working period, as we call it. Others allude to it as recess. But we have gone back a couple times this summer. It's a time of the year where we're finalizing the budget. The budget, unfortunately, has been no different than a lot of the other conversations we're having. It's been very partisan driven. And so we have not reached a state budget yet. We have a deadline of September 31st to reach a state budget. So as we get back into session starting later this week, that will be the overwhelming priority, is finalizing that budget. The one thing that we did finalize, though, is the school aid portion of the budget. And so we actually passed a record $17.1 billion for public education. So that is a much higher number than historically. I think the highest ever. There's been investments all across the board in special ed programs, and just making sure that we're doing whatever we can to, again, just to make sure that every Michigan student, regardless of what zip code they live in, has a chance for quality education. And one of the things this budget does is it eliminates the gap, because unfortunately in my House district, which includes majority of Van Buren Township and a majority of Canton, both of those districts are amongst the lowest funded in the entire state. And so what this budget does is it brings that gap much, much narrower between the lowest funded and highest funded districts. So all good things there. Yep. The other big news out of Lansing right now is the end of unemployment unemployment benefits. And so September 4th was actually the last day for the PUA and the PUC benefits. So that's going to affect roughly 400 to 500,000 Michiganders. The PUA was the benefit that expanded the pool of who was eligible to include independent contractors and self-employed. And the PUC was that extra $300 a week. And so those were both being funded federally. And so both of those are coming to an end. If you were eligible to receive benefits that you did not apply for, you can still apply for benefits that you were owed before September 4th. But now, even if you have weeks remaining, there's no money that will be reimbursed after September 4th. I believe this week is still paid out, if I'm not mistaken. But that is kind of the big news of the week here. And so if anyone has any questions about unemployment, please feel free to reach out to our office. I know a number of you, I know I've had some conversations with Trustee Miller on this. And so if I can be of assistance to anyone with unemployment, feel free to reach out to our office. That's what we're here for. But I know that system is hard to navigate. And so just let us know if we can be helpful there. And then a couple more things. I also have what I call my student advisory group. And so if you are a high school age student, you are more than welcome to apply. It's a program that's runs about 5 or 6 months, in which we hold monthly meetings, and leave a lot of the partisan stuff out of it. But the purpose of it is just to educate our younger generation on the importance of local and state and federal government, and how the different branches work together. And we, bring in a lot of other elected officials to just answer questions and, again, provide insight. So we will be flooding our social media with the next round of applications. We just ended the first cohort. We had roughly 70 students, which we were blown away by just the excitement. And I left inspired after every meeting. And so always great to hear from our youth. I'm always inspired to know that our world will be in good hands when it's their turn. And so, I know I kind of breezed through a lot there, but in terms of Lansing, we will be going back September 9th on Thursday, and there will be a 9/11 remembrance ceremony. And I think there's a number around town happening here. There was one that you guys were talking about right before I joined. And so that is kind of the bulk of what's happening in my world right now. And again, I'm going to leave all my contact information in the chat for anyone that is listening. Otherwise, if any of the trustees or the clerk or supervisor have any questions, I'm more than happy to take those.
I just have one comment, if I may, Supervisor. I wanted to say thank you, Representative Curie. You worked with me during those dark COVID months to help many of our residents get different resources, one being unemployment, 2, food. Whatever the situation was, you were just a phone call or an email or a text away, and our residents greatly appreciated that. We all appreciated that. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you so much. And, really, I'm following your lead. You were a workhorse to work alongside with, and just thank you to all of you for everything you did. I know it's not easy to lead, especially in the middle of a pandemic. And so you guys handled it really well. I just, for whatever it's worth, I was never worried about Van Buren Township. I knew it was in good hands. So you guys continue doing what you're doing. And I'm just really happy to be here with you today.
Ron Jeep does call a lot, and he's, when we have a bad storm or flooding, he calls and asks if we need assistance. He calls and reminds us of programs that sometimes we don't know that we have out there. And I'm not used to that much hands-on care, and I really do appreciate it. I do, Ron Jeep. Thank you so much. He does that. Yeah, he calls at the worst time though, because we're flooding. So.
Right, that's right.
It's their short conversations, but yeah,
it's not your fault.
it's not your fault.
I guess at least you guys are picking up my phone calls. It beats the alternative. So happy to try to help.
So I will make you the formal, not the formal announcement, but at least the public announcement that we received this, that I made sure I sent out to all of my trustees when I got it. But it is official that the state of Michigan, through the federal government, the ARPA money, that Van Buren Township will be receiving $2,972,168, which is very nice. And so thank you very much, Representative. You get credit for some things that you don't have a lot to do with, but you get blamed for a lot of stuff that you.
That's right.
Take
the praise while you can get it.
That's right. Well, it's wonderful news. I was happy to hear that come through as well. And thanks for taking it easy on me today. But again, I'm around if I can answer any questions, and I'll leave all my contact information in the chat for anyone who's watching. And look forward to seeing all of you soon.
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
Great job.
Down here.
See you soon.
Bye. All right. Okay, so this ends the announcement section of the meeting. We do have Stephen Darkers has some questions which we'll answer at the right times, but we also have some people that want to speak on public comment regarding the ordinance change for addicted. So are they out there, moderator, since that we're now at public comment?
That is correct, Supervisor. I have Valerie on the line as a public comment. She has her virtual hand raised. And Valerie, you should be able to unmute yourself and speak.
Okay, thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Hello, Ms. Bonner.
Hi. First of all, I would like to say thank you all for taking the time out to hear my comments about this issue that is very near and dear to my heart. I am the executive director of SOAR, which is on 122 South Street. For those of you who do not know me, I have been doing prevention work in our community for over 20 years. And I have never seen it get to where we are now with the HIV and Hep C rates rising and the suicide rates rising and so much going on, and not even coupling in the COVID piece of that. There were no cities outside of the city of Detroit that were offering these harm reduction services. SOAR and our team was successful in going to the city of Inkster to talk about this very subject. And Chief Riley, along with the council people in that great city, modified their ordinance so that services could be rendered. What does that look like? We meet people where they are, not where we expect them to be. We meet with them on a weekly basis or whatever interval they feel comfortable with. We ask them a series of questions so they can be registered into our program. We build relationships with them. We ask them about their mental health. We give them clean supplies. We let them know that we're connected to the Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network. And if they need any services from there, we are willing to help them. We build these relationships with these individuals and they become almost like our family. We also have a spiritual component of this program where we do offer prayer, praise and worship, and any other spiritual support that the individuals would like. This is a true street outreach program. So when we say we meet them where they are, we go where they are, whether that is an apartment, trailer complex, liquor store, wherever they are. We give them Narcan, toiletry kits, and other things that we have on hand. I said all of that to say, I am so honored that you are even beginning to have this very important discussion. If you are on this call and addiction has never impacted your life, God bless you, because it has impacted mine in various forms with various types of substance use. So again, I won't take up any more of your time. I just wanted to thank you for even considering changing your ordinance so people who need it most can be serviced. And hopefully we stop people from dying and reduce the rates of disease in the area. Thank you for your time.
I
Thank you.
absolutely
you.
support this.
Thank you for your work.
The next person we have with the virtual hand raise is Trisha Duckworth. Trisha, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and good evening to you all. Like Valerie said, it's an honor to be here with you all today for the possibility of this very program here in Van Buren Township and just a discussion of it, because a lot of people won't even have the discussion. So thank you. Coming to you just to speak to you about the impact in people's lives. Valerie has covered the program, what it entails, what we do, but we are out there week after week with individuals and watching people's lives be transformed just by individuals letting them know that they care. So this is so much more than just a harm reduction program. It is about the wellness of a human being. And like Valerie said, meeting people where they are, which is such an honor, because if we don't meet people where they are, they slip through the cracks. And there's no need for anyone to slip through the cracks when we could provide the help that is needed. So again, I'm not going to further the time because it's already been stated. We thank you all for just considering this, and we hope that your vote is yes for this program. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
And they've been working with our community for a long time. They're not new to this community. They've got a proven system that's worked in this community. And we don't see them because they're wherever they're doing, but they're working. They're not up, jumping up and down screaming. But we want to try and give them another tool to help them a little bit more. So moving on, is there any other public comments?
Yes, Supervisor, we have Stephen Dark, who has a comment on agenda item. He said Plant Moran Cressa agreement on page B1, where it lists the facilities that will be attended to. I noticed that French Landing Park wasn't on the list. I'm not sure if that's a big deal or not, but I just thought I'd mention it. Thank you, Stephen.
He caught it and I didn't. It's a big deal. Sorry.
You're sleeping on the job, Kevin.
In theory, that part will be brand new. So yeah, I didn't catch that. So all right. Okay. Does anybody else have any comments? No. Okay, let's move on. We're on to new business discussion on and to consider approval of a master service agreement for independent real estate advisory services with Plant Moran Cressa and permit Supervisor McNamara to authorize the agreement. Can I get a motion for this?
I support. Okay.
Ms. Bud, and then I got.
I'll support it.
But Treasurer Bud, you want to make the motion?
Sure. I make a motion, we consider approval of the master service agreement for independent real estate supervisor services with Plant Moran Cressa and permit Supervisor McNamara to authorize the agreement.
Okay, Director Best.
Thank you. Good evening, board. Today we are here to discuss an engagement letter that was submitted upon request of the Public Services Department and the Supervisor's Office to engage Plant Moran Cressa, who is currently working with us who had previously worked with us in our community center feasibility study, and who was also our owner's representative for the construction of the community center. This engagement letter is to potentially expand our partnership with Plant Moran Cressa to potentially include additional items that will allow us to move forward to be the premier community we know we are and strive to be every single day. So why are we bringing a master service agreement to the board? Well, simply put, a master service agreement is the set of rules that you find inside the board game box that outlines how you're going to play the game with your for the next few years. In this case, the master service agreement is the instructions on how we will interact with Plant Moran Cressa for some outline defined projects in the future. Now, the one piece of the puzzle that we have to remember is that there's no financial commitment to the signing of this agreement, nor is there any monetary dollar amount attached to the master service agreement. This is just setting up the ground rules. And I would like to spend a few minutes to walk through this document with you so that we're all on the same page and can understand going forward what we're talking about. So a few months ago, we were sitting in I was sitting in the supervisor's office, and the supervisor said, boy, I really would like to know how much money we need to take care of the splash pad over the next 15 years. And I said, that's a really great question. I mean, we kind of have an idea. And then I said, oh, I'd also like to know how much our HVAC system's going to cost. And then we just bought a bunch of new vehicles and fire trucks, and we just put a new pavilion out in 2017 even. We put a pavilion out at Van Buren Park, I'd like to know how much it's going to cost to maintain those in the great shape they're in. The new pickleball and shade structures, how much is it going to cost for us to maintain those? And then we start thinking, do we have enough money? Do we have to plan accordingly in our budgets to make sure that we have enough money to maintain what we have, as well as continue moving forward at the board's discretion of what they'd like to do in terms of capital projects, programming, staffing, you name it. We want to be able to say, we can do this, we can do this, we have to plan for this, and this is what we'll have left over in 10 years in capital and cash. And so with that idea, I approached Plant Moran Cressa and talked with the CEO, and the CEO put together a meeting and drafted this master service agreement. Now the township, as far as I know, has never done an engagement letter. These are extremely common with premier communities. And what this engagement letter does is it puts the guidelines in for how we would move forward in selecting a project, how we would get the bid package from Plant Moran Cressa, and what those tasks would be. So in the document that we received from Plant Moran Cressa, if you notice, if you go to, and I can share my screen if you want, or we can, it might be best for everyone at home to follow along. Let me just see if I can do that. Maybe I can't.
Technology never works when you need it.
I don't think it's, for some reason, I don't think it's working very what we're supposed to. So that I'm just going to go through it verbally, and you can follow along on your documents as well. The agreement shall serve as a service agreement for the performance of future real estate advisory services. This document will govern the performance of PNC services, specifically the services outlined in the catalog. So they've actually developed a catalog of services that we could get from point A, that would get us from point A, where we are today, to point F or H or Z, where we want to be in 10 years. And it would give us all the tools we need. It would lay out how much we need to save, how much we're going to have, how much this will cost to maintain, when we need to maintain it. So basically it develops a plan for us to follow if we decide to utilize the catalog in order. Now, we don't have to use the catalog in order. We can pick and choose each item as we see fit and adjust it as we want, but this sets how they believe that we can get there. Now, one of the things they do in this is they just let us know, by the way, here's how much our services cost. However, these are just the standard hourly rates, and they're not applied to anything yet. And we'll talk a little bit more about this, but under compensation, they're just saying up front, this is what we'll charge you under this engagement. So it basically locks in the costs, especially if we're working for more than 2 to 3 years, these costs would be locked in. And then this document basically would be signed by Plant Moran Cressa and the supervisor as part of this agreement. So what are we actually agreeing to? Well, what we're agreeing to in a master service agreement, if you so choose to go this way, is to work exclusively with Plant Moran Cressa on these items. Now, it doesn't say we have to work with Plant Moran Cressa. We could actually go out and get an exact item from another service provider if we wanted to. They are just saying for the items they're outlining in the catalog, we would work with them on these items. And this specifies how we would do it. So it's kind of like a recipe for working together.
Like a plan.
Yes. So on page 1A1, this is what, if we decided to move forward, with an agreement, the first thing we would do is we would say, okay, we'd like to put together a task order to do a capital improvements plan. And it would be created in a task order where they would give us the project background and assumptions, what they would do under the scope of service, a dollar amount for what it would cost, how long it would take. And then this document plus the supporting information about what they're doing, how much it'll cost, and what the deliverables will be, would be brought back to the board for a vote. Okay. So the general recipe of how we'll work together is the engagement letter. The task order is basically a contract for service for a specific item. So if you continue to the next page under sample scope of services, this is the catalog. And there's a series of items that if we did every single item in there, we would, at the end of 10 years, we would have a capital improvements plan, a budgetary plan that reflects that capital improvements plan. We would have a marketing plan, a development plan, and the potential future development plan for land over the next 10 years. Now, that's not to say we're planning on doing any of that. This is just how Plant Moran Cressa proposes it. We can do only one task order here, or we can do two, we can do three. We may not even want to do the land stuff at any point in time. But I just want to walk through what they are so you understand. The biggest one, and probably the most important, is the 10-year capital plan task order. And this is just an example. And while I appreciate Mr. Dark pointing out that French Landing's not on here, it's okay that it's not, because this is just a sample draft of what they've put together to kind of give an idea of what the task order would look like for your information. So the first thing that they would do under this, in this capital improvement plan, is they'd review the sites on the properties that the township have, mostly with buildings and parking lots and things like that. Parks, if they have buildings on them, they were included. And French Landing would be part of this if we did the review. The second thing they would do is look at how the updated technology would have, what technology is there, what would need to be updated. They would develop a report. They would do a very detailed utilization study, which is different than the space and needs study that we did before with Fishbeck 3 years ago. This utilization study would look at how we're currently utilizing it, and then it would project out how much it could be utilized in the future, how little it will be utilized in the future based on all the information they've collected. And then it would be put into a report that would have a 10-year table that would say the HVAC requires money in 2050 or in 2025. The roof needs to be replaced at Township Hall in 2026. The lights at Van Buren Park would need to be replaced in 2025, 2028, so on and so forth. And would give you a roadmap of how to get there. They would also have costs associated with each of those things, so that if you decided you could utilize this capital improvements plan to do your capital improvement budgeting, your capital planning for the future, for both fund balance, long-term debt savings, and other projects that you want to do, because you could figure out how much you're going to need to keep up the things that you have, which would then let you determine how much you have for new things and how much free cash you'd have left over after you've done that planning. So it kind of gives you an outline. And that's what the second task would be. It would take that information, it's called the visioning task order. It would take that information that we garnered from the capital improvements task order and basically do an analysis that allows Plant Moran Cressa to make recommendations based on the goals of the township, the goals of the board, the goals of the committees, the goals of the residents to be a premier community, and whatever those are through meetings with the board, meetings with staff, meetings with the residents, to be able to kind of chart a path financially to do the things that they want to do while still maintaining the great things we already have. So that visioning task order would set not a master plan, but and it's not a strategic plan. It's more of a guidepost to say, your goals are this. Where are you now in that plan? Do you need to make some changes? Here's some recommendations. And here's some budget recommendations that need to be made to make sure that in 10 years you're where you want to be. They'll also do master planning for any properties that the township has. And this is the real strong suit that Plant Moran Cressa, this is an additional service that they have. They would look at the properties, they would do a market analysis, they would give the best outcome for the property based on its potential highest level future development, looking at what the community needs and what the property could bear. They'll also look at the external influences such as the airport, such as the freeways, such as our location between two metropolitan centers. They'll look at how rule changes will affect the development. So that's kind of a scope there. Then they develop a very basic conceptual master plan for the site from a real estate perspective, which is different than a site plan. It wouldn't show this building's here, this is here, that this is where the road goes. No, it would say, here's what we think the property should have on it to be the best benefit for the residents, the township as going into the future, as well as for the region.
Okay.
Finally, there's two other tasks that are in there. One is the master budget and schedule, which allows for the development of a budget to market the property, sell the property, develop the property, whatever the township decides to do, they can do it as a task. They can also assist in finding funding for the project. And then the last couple pieces are far off in the future, but one is the development of the phase one of the property, which gives real estate developers, if it's time to sell, you would bring in Plant Moran Cressa and they would prepare all the documentation you'd need if you decided to sell the property. And then the final task order would be for them to put the property up for sale for the township and be our owner representative in the sale deal. But those things are tens, they're like 8 or 9 or 10 or 20 years away, but they offered these items in part of the catalog to show us how to get from point A to point Z.
Okay, so okay, go ahead.
So just to wrap it up, the document that we're putting in place now allows us to create a long-lasting engagement or partnership with Plant Moran Cressa, one of the top companies in Michigan, who is an expert in real estate analysis, capital improvements, and projects, so that we can get so that we as a township can get where we want to go over the next 10 years. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I'm going to do my 2-minute Monday quarterback discussion of what you just said and turn it into a story.
Oh,
Because 5 years ago, we began exactly where we're going to right now. We wanted to update the infrastructure of Van Buren Township. And the idea was we used this, what is it called? The Streets program? What's that program that we use? And everything we do goes into this program. So it ends up giving us capital. CityWorks program. All right, we even hired originally hired Elizabeth Renault to do the CityWorks program. But so everything's been going into that program. Problem is, 5 years ago, we had no idea that the fire station's roofs were bad, the electrical was bad, the lights were bad, the concrete was bad, some of the steel was going bad, the fire trucks were beyond useful lives. We had no idea of the condition of the infrastructure within Van Buren Township. So in order to make a plan, we would have had to list everything. So instead, we just went in and fixed it all. And we kept on putting it into the CityWorks plan. So now we're ready to do that 10-year capital improvement plan. So we can say year 2, we're going to need this much money. We got this much money coming in. Here's a regular budget. When you take all that away, we can look at the bottom line and say we have this much money to do whatever we want to do. So that's number 1 is the capital improvement plan. And that would, Plant Moran, Director Best has set it up. So Plant Moran will give us a task dollar. Say it's $20,000. So I would take this contract and that task request for $20,000, and I would come back to the board and say, okay, I'm going to spend my first dollar with Plant Moran, $20,000 to do this, to develop a capital improvement plan over the next 10 years. Now I'm going to go to the next, the big higher logic. We talked about the fact that when we bought the Ford land, I talked about the fact that how you create RFPs to bring in maybe senior housing, mixed use housing, subdivisions, maybe an industrial research center or things like that. But we also discussed the fact that Van Buren Township as a government, we are not developers. Every township I've ever seen or city that tried to be a developer screwed it up. So what you do is you basically say, this is what we like, this idea. And then the Plant Moran would look at the realities of that, turn it into a request for proposal and put the request for proposal out to all the big developers and split it up. Then they would send back their thing saying, if you let us build on your property and be part of this, we'll build 50 million here of this. We'll bid 20 million here of this. And you end up with a $150 million project on your land. And I don't know, what's the one that they're doing right now is like 300 million. Plant Moran, they do these all the time. And they're hundreds of millions of dollars. But you need to get there through a process. And we're years from that process, but we need to start it. So when I said this is going to be kind of a key, kind of a big deal for us. It took us 5 years to get here. But I think we're ready to take the next steps, which is putting everything on paper and moving forward. So now I'll be quiet and you can ask Matt Best questions.
Through the chair, if I may.
Yeah.
To me, this couldn't be more important for Van Buren Township. Especially what comes to mind for me is during budget reviews, year to year, as we have to look at the budget, this will be a very useful tool in getting where we need to be at a glance. So that's all I have to say. This is really important.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I just like to say having a plan is always a good idea rather than flying in the dark. And I think it's good. We're moving in the right direction.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, I debated whether to have to bring this before the board at this time because we really don't need any money. But I would like your authorization to continue down this road and to sign this document. And so that's what I'm asking for. No further questions? Clerk Wright, could you call the roll?
There you go.
Frazier,
Yes.
trustee Boyden,
Yes.
trustee Miller,
Yes.
treasurer Bud,
Yes.
yes for me, supervisor,
Yes,
motion passes.
thank you.
Thank you very much, board.
Thank you, Director Best.
Thank you.
Next item is discussion on to consider a reading of an ordinance, first reading of the ordinance. It is the one that we were talked with about with SOAR. Someone who would like to make the first motion and read it? Trustee Miller?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion. Number 2, discussion on and to consider approval of the first reading of ordinance 09-07-21-1 and amendment of section 58-297 of Division 5, controlled substances and toxic chemicals, and of Article, 5, offenses against public morals of Chapter 58, offenses and miscellaneous provisions of the General Code of Ordinances.
Support.
Okay, I got Clerk Wright on the support. Okay, I think we have Lieutenant Bossie who's going to speak on this matter.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Basically, what this amendment to the ordinance allows us as a community to refrain from prosecution of individuals and allow the SOAR program to operate this program.
Like, okay, so it's not going to be popular to say this, but quite frankly, SOAR does provide them with some utensils that may provide for drugs, but unless you start developing a rapport with these, with the people that need these services, they can't get anywhere. Now, if you are in the SOAR program and you get caught with one of these utensils, you will not be tried. If you're not in the SOAR program, you get caught with one of these utensils, then we can try you.
Supervisor,
That's correct.
may I ask a question? This is separate from help without handcuffs, correct?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Is this separate from help without handcuffs that we have going through Greg Lorraine?
I don't know. This is a new thing that's going across state right now. Lieutenant Bazzi, is help without handcuffs, is that the same thing?
Help without handcuffs is a voluntary discretionary tool that we have in law enforcement. That's anybody wants to come in and turn themselves in. We have discretion to act or not accordingly. Changing the ordinance will allow us to legally do what we need to do to proceed with the program.
So how many people are we looking at helping the first year that we roll this out?
In this program?
Estimate, yes.
I'd be guessing, we do, is Valerie still out there? I'm guessing 5 to 10 people.
That's 5 to 10 people that would have slipped through.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I don't know if this is my time to say this, but Trisha did say it is a different program.
Okay.
Okay,
And Valerie does have her hand raised.
go ahead. Could you bring Valerie in since she's the expert on the program?
Perfect. Valerie, feel free to unmute yourself and chat. Yep.
Yes, can everyone hear me?
I can, Valerie.
I think the program differs from Hope and Handcuffs by the approach, but I think they're the same as far as effectiveness of trying to help the person who wants to receive help. The harm reduction program is not a strictly abstinence-based program initially. It's to keep them safe and from causing harm to themselves and from dying, basically. If they get caught with drugs or anything else, they get prosecuted, as the lieutenant said. If they're enrolled in a program, we have a card that we give them. So we don't ask them their government name and put all of that on the card. We ask, what is the first initial of their first name, the 2-digit month of their birth, and their mother's first initial. So in my case, that would be V09J. That's what goes on the card. The card would have the Van Buren Ordinance on the back of it, and that's what they would carry with them. So if they get stopped or whatever, they should have that. If in fact they don't have that, we would still know them by that unique identification number. We also get additional information from them on the intake. Do they have any mental health concerns? Do they have children that need help? Do they need food? Do they need a job? Do they need an identification? Like, we ask them all of the things that they could possibly need that gets to the root of their trauma, because at the end of the day, that's what's causing what they're doing. You know, some traumatic experiences or some deficiencies in their life that they don't have the ability to cope with. So they're using the drugs to cope. In the city of Inkster right now, when we first rolled out in June, I think we had about 25, 30 people enroll in the program.
Wow.
So yeah, we had quite a few enroll in the program and several come back. We have had a tremendous amount of saves. We always have Narcan, and we have had a tremendous amount of saves. We're passing out maybe 100 Narcan kits or more per month.
Oh my.
We go to all of the hotels on Michigan Avenue and pass them out. We have relationships with some of the owners of places where we know people go and use. We go into trailer park in Inkster and pass it out, you know, whatever. So we will be canvassing the area. And Lieutenant Bazzi, if you or anyone on your team knows of any areas where we should go, you know, to offer the service, that would be wonderful. Or if you have someone that is in your custody and you want to recommend they come and talk to us, you know, that would be welcome as well. The approach we are using is not cast in stone. We're working with the state of Michigan directly on this, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Viral Hepatitis Division, but it is not cast in stone. Each community is different. And if we need to tailor this program specifically for Van Buren Township and its needs, that is possible. What we're bringing is the concept and what we have seen work thus far. But that does not mean it cannot be improved. That does not mean it doesn't need to be tailored. And that does not mean that we are the experts. We just know what has worked thus far. We are open from additional feedback and anything that you guys have to offer to assist us.
The state of Michigan, go ahead, Trustee Miller.
Well, if you remember a few years ago, we passed, I think it was first week in September, we had a proclamation on National Recovery Month for mental health and awareness and addiction. I think this is another leg of this that we're doing for our community. We're showing support that proclamation that we all signed and supported, we're supporting here tonight with this program, which is very important. If we could save one life or stop the stigma in any way, we need to do our part here. So I'm very proud of you, Valerie.
Well, thank you.
Forward.
And stigma is a big part of it. And that's why we like the consistency of meeting with the individuals weekly and on regular intervals, because they get to know us. And once they get to know us, then they can trust us. And once they trust us, we can offer additional services that they may feel comfortable with. But again, it's meeting them where they are and what they want to do, because only then will they change. They're not going to change and they're not going to stop until they're ready. But if we can get rid of some of the stressors, some of the factors that may be causing them to use, that is helpful. So we have other partners that we work with. They can call this line called Never Use Alone if they're alone. We do suicide prevention QPR trainings. I believe Trisha has talked to the supervisor about those because she had an idea QPR in the park where we can train people as gatekeepers and know what questions to ask an individual who is suicidal. We also can train recovery coaches. We were looking to train a myriad of recovery coaches in this project so people know how to deal with someone who is struggling with addiction. What do you do? How do you come up with a plan with them? What do you say? What are the stages of change? Where are they? What are they going through? So we are looking for people in the community who are also in need of that training, because I think sometimes we don't know what to say and we don't know how to handle it. And sometimes that does more harm than good.
And you never know when you're going to come across it. You just don't.
Mm-hmm.
So the more training, the better. Thank you so much.
Clerk Wright?
Yeah, I supported this item because exactly like Ms. Barner said. I mean, drug addiction and mental illness, I think, go hand in hand. So I know it does. It's either one or the other one that's influencing the other one. As a lot of you guys know, my wife and I, we was just talking about this a couple of weeks ago. Well, we talk about it all the time. My wife is a clinical therapist. She got her master's at U of M in this field. When she first started working, she was working in the mental illness department of the hospital when the state decided to put the mentally ill patients out on the street. But it works hand in hand. And right now, she's doing clinical therapy with a local psychiatrist in the county, and the work that she's doing now, you'll be amazed how many how many cases has increased. I mean, her workload is so tremendous right now. They want her to increase her workload because of the issues that they're having with this pandemic and trying to cope with it. And one of the coping mechanisms is to either do drugs or some other type of substance abuse. So I think, yeah, for us to step up and do this is a great thing for our community. It's like Trustee Miller said, we started this with the proclamation that we did a couple of years ago, and now we're topping it off with this to help any organization that we can to help fight this drug addiction and mental illness. It's another mechanism that's what we're supposed to do as elected officials. And yeah, I commend Ms. Bonner and her work because it's very important work that some people don't think about. And if you haven't been affected by drug addiction or mental illness, then I don't know. You're lucky because I know I have, and I know a lot of other people have dealt with it. So kudos to the board. That's another thing that we're doing. Like I said, the supervisor, we're doing good things. We need to continue to do these good things like this because this is what we're elected to do.
So in the state of Michigan, these people need help and they need social workers. And but unfortunately, the person they usually end up finding in the street is a cop. And these cops are basically having to learn to be social workers. We're sending them classes. We're starting to sign up with the county for mental first aid, health first aid mobile units. We're going to try and get out here for a while. We have enough. We don't have enough interactions with mental health to warrant hiring somebody. But we have enough that we did a study to see if it was justified, because it's not quite there, but it's getting close. And I gotta say that I didn't really know if this was the right program. I asked around at the mental health boards and they tell me it's a great program. And I was absolutely shocked when I talked to a few cops who thought that this was a good idea.
Yeah.
And
Good. I know Livonia just talking to the Livonia mayor. I know they just hired a
social worker, right?
Worker to work with their police department. Yes.
Yeah.
We have about 160 interactions a year with mental health problems, and unfortunately, 160 interactions a year. When you don't know when they're happening, they could happen on a Saturday night or Monday morning or whatever. You'd have to hire 4 or 5 social workers to handle that. So it doesn't justify. But we're working to do something about it, and this is one of those things we can do. And I want to thank our police officers because, quite frankly, they train on mental health, they train on Narcan, they train on suicide, they train on just amazing what they do and what that profession is. I mean, they've got to have a hat in every trade out there. It's amazing.
Just through the chair, Ms. Bonner, as you know, she runs SOAR, but I think it's really important that the SOAR become familiar with her services and what she does and what she can do for the community. The community as a whole has to know more about Valerie Bonner, period, and the SOAR program. So maybe Rosemary can do an article, maybe we can promote her program on our website, but we need to do our part more, as much as we can. We are doing our part, but whatever we can do to make people aware of what we have right here in Van Buren Township.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And what we would like to do is train recovery coaches in our area, lay people in the community, because that's who encounter these individuals first, right? You're going to encounter a regular person that you're having some type of interaction with before the police actually gets involved. or a family member gets involved. So that's important. The faces of this problem is important too. It's people who you least expect.
Mhm.
We have participants in the city of Inkster. They're pulling up in their Chrysler 300s. They're not walking or homeless or, you know, anything like that. They're working people. They may live in another community because of the stigma and everything else associated with their drug addiction. They will make their way, you know, to the city of Inkster for help. I was at a function and a lady had knee replacement surgery, and the pain was so intense from that surgery. She was on painkillers, and we had to give her Narcan, an elderly woman, because the painkillers were too strong for her. And so she overdosed right in front of us at the fellowship hall. You know, so we can't look at overdose as always someone who is misusing or abusing drugs. That is the most common, but it affects even the elderly if the medication is too strong for them after a surgery or something like that. And we just definitely need to look at all avenues. So again, I am excited, and I would be willing to sit down with any one of you or anyone who would like to have a conversation. Thank you, Trustee Miller, who's been stopping by for years and chatting. And of course, Supervisor McNamara and I go back a long time. But for us to get here today, looking at where SOAR began, I'm humbled, I am honored, and I'm excited to serve this community to the best of my ability.
We appreciate it so very much.
Okay, with that, we're going to call this as a last request for any comments. Hearing none, clerk, would you call the roll for the first reading?
Yes, Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Bud, Treasurer Bud,
Yes.
Trustee Frazier,
Yes.
Trustee Boyne,
Yes.
yes for me. Supervisor,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. We have another Lieutenant Bazey, discussion on and to consider approval of another first reading. I thought I had somebody else. Who would like to make this motion?
I make the motion.
Clerk Wright,
Right.
please read it.
Oh, I just went out. We got storm issues coming through. Hold on. Okay, discussion on and to consider approval of the first reading of ordinance 19-07-21 parentheses 2, the adoption of section 14-37 of Division 1 generally of Article 2, dogs of Chapter 14, animals of the General Code of Ordinances.
Support.
There you go. Frazier? All right. Lieutenant.
Good evening once again. This ordinance that we would like to adopt mirrors the state ordinance for animal cruelty. Under the changes in the law back in April, complaint warrant must be sent to the court, which means that would have to go down to the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office for a complaint. And Lord only knows how long that would take. They're inundated down there. This would give the Van Buren Township local control through our local prosecutor, Angela Manarino, so we could have more control over our resolution with the matter.
As you remember, we did this with all of our ordinances over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Angela, you're on mute. Do you have anything to say on this?
No, I think Lieutenant Bazey pretty much summed everything up. This is just another state statute that we're adopting to handle locally at the 34th District Court.
And you know, it works. And quite frankly, it amazes me that more cities and townships don't do this. I just read recently where there was a major disaster in a township, and it was all over the fact that some guy got angry about getting tickets for his grass. And quite frankly, you know, we give them out too, but we give warnings first. We, you know, and when it comes down to it, we don't send people downtown. I mean, it's amazing that the people still do that kind of archaic thing. But Thank you. Sorry, that's my 2 cents worth. I think somebody was shot over it, so.
Not
All right, any questions? All right. First reading, Clerk Wright, would you please call roll?
Yes, trustee Miller,
Yes.
trustee Boyne,
Yes.
trustee Frazier,
yes.
treasurer Bud,
Yes.
yes for me, supervisor,
Yes,
motion passes.
thank you.
Just been informed the storm is coming through. We better hurry. We don't want to-
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, good.
discussion on and to consider approval of resolution 2021, the 2022 department fee schedules. This is what we do every year. We approve the fee schedule. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
So
Mr. Boynton?
support,
Ms. Frazier?
support.
Okay. Supervisor McNamara. It's the same fee schedule as last year. We do review if there's any that are out of whack, we change them. I don't believe that we changed any. They're all working out fine. They're based upon engineers and people that looked at it and told us that this is the right to charge. The revenues have been estimated for the year based on those fee schedules, and they are currently in your budget. And we already reviewed those numbers. Any questions?
No.
Hearing none, Clerk Wright, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Boyne,
Yes.
trustee Frazier,
Yes,
trustee Miller,
Yes.
treasurer Bud,
Yes.
yes for me, supervisor McNair,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. We have no reports today. Now we are into the public comment for non-agenda items. Moderator, is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak?
Yes, I have a comment in the chat from Stephen Dark. I sure hope the intersection camera project is going to happen soon, exclamation point. However, I'd like to recommend that the township also looks into getting cameras at the intersection of Michigan Ave and Denton Road. I believe it would be very beneficial to VBT as well as Canton and Ipsy. Thanks, exclamation point.
Okay, so maybe I should give this, okay, so, all right, so we approved, oh God, 100 different programs, cameras, dispatch, some more fire stuff at the last meeting, basically got it all done. So we could actually go work on that stuff, or you can give me 2 to 6 months to see if I can get grants for it. Because there's so much money out there. We're having a meeting Friday at 10 o'clock for 2 hours on basically how we're going to position ourselves, who the players are, how we're going to basically go after these grants. But I believe that we'll get that $300,000 for those cameras. And I believe we're going to get hopefully $500,000-600,000 for those for that dispatch. And hopefully we'll get some others too. So yes,
I say go for it.
Yeah.
Because I think we got money out there.
Yeah, go for the grants. I think I sent you in the treasurer email when I was up at MMRMA, didn't I? I'm telling you that.
Yeah.
I was sitting in a meeting and they was indicating that they're getting to the point where it's hard to give. People are not applying for the grants for some reason. We upped the amount of grant money that MMRMA is giving away now from $1 million to $1.5 million, and we can't give away half of it. But a lot of the stuff is that we're talking about, is especially the safety concern, is grants that they would approve. They might not get the whole total amount, but you get a significant part of it reimbursed for the township. So those are things like the glass that the treasurer and I are looking at, the safety glass. That'll be approved. I'm pretty sure the cameras, probably a portion of that could be approved. Like the supervisor said, there's a lot of money out there right now that's floating around. And yeah, we do need to take advantage of these grants that's out there instead of just paying for it ourselves. So yeah, I would say yes, go for the grants.
Okay. Yeah, that's why we're not moving forward right now, because we think we can.
Great.
Any other questions out there from the world?
Supervisor, do we have somebody that's working on just securing us grants?
Every director in this building is the opportunity and the ability to write grants. And we work together as a team. So we identify who the grant's going to, what they're looking for. We actually meet and decide how we can best put the grant together. We decide if we need to bring a consultant in to create water sewer pictures.
Yeah.
Can you let us know about the progress of the grants that are being applied for? And can we know about what grants are being applied for?
Yeah, I can.
That'll be helpful. Thank you.
Don't tell anybody.
Mom's the word.
All right. That's it for me. Is anybody else?
No,
No. I guess it's time for call for adjournment.
no.
Move. No.
Department fee schedule.
Did we call the roll on that?
No.
Oh, call the roll on, I'm sorry. Clerk Wright, could you call the roll on the fee schedule? I'm sorry. I thought we called it.
No.
Thank you.
Trustee Miller,
Yes.
trustee Frazier,
Yes.
trustee Boyden,
Yes.
trustee Bud.
Yes.
Yes, for me. Supervisor McNair.
Yes.
Motion passes. I thought we called a roll too. Maybe.
We did too.
Takes
Well, we opened it with Boynton and Frazier, but I
No.
don't think we
No,
called the roll. Sherry, we didn't, did we?
We called.
I don't remember voting on it. No.
I made the
Frazier, Bud?
I made the motion on that.
Right. We made the motion, but
Boynton Fraser. Okay, well, at any rate. So, wait a second. You want to speak, Mr. Best?
no.
You know what?
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Yeah, it's okay. Make a motion.
Hold on, but before we go, we need to change this. We need to change the number 3 notice that say 19-07-21. It should be 09-07-21. Can we put that in the record for ordinance for the first reading of ordinance 09-07-21?
I have that.
That's what I have.
You got 09?
That's like
No, we have
No, we have 19. We don't have 09. Correct.
Oh, okay.
It should be
All right.
09, so
Okay.
want to put that in the record, okay?
Good.
Did I get a motion for adjournment?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
B.
Reggie and Don.
Okay, Boynton and Reggie. Got it. All in favor? Hearing nobody against it, we are adjourned.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Have a good week.